Hey, it's me, Von Tobateri, your host of the Go, Give, Grow podcast. So, last time we talked about the word coin, and we went down a rabbit hole about phrases and slogans. In this episode, I'll take you on an 10 minute journey on what happens when ideas coincide. The word coincide is a verb with origins in the 1700s from the medieval Latin word coincidere, which means to fall upon together. The meaning of the word is literally to occupy the same area or be identical in nature or substance. That's according to Etym Online, the website I frequent sometimes. Two things coincide if they happen at the same time or they relate in nature. In a sense, it's to agree or match with something. For example, a politician's announcement of a run for office might coincide with the book launch that explains their background, core values, and principles. Or in math, coincident lines lay on each other exactly in a way that you see one line instead of multiple lines. To your eye, they're the same line. I'll give you another example of the word coincide. One of my favorite movie series is the Lord of the Rings series. And in that series, you have a group of you can't even say people. It's hobbits, men, a wizard, an elf, and a dwarf. They go on a mission to destroy this magical ring by throwing it into the Crack of Doom, a pit full of volcanic fire. Eventually, they form a fellowship with 9 people, for lack of a better word, called the Fellowship of the Ring. Their goals coincide, that's our buzzword right there, when they decide to work together and they walk the same path across Middle-earth. So this is based on J.R.R. Tolkien's books, which feature more than 980 characters. And to give you a little fast fact about Lord of the Rings, the first 3 films in the trilogy were shot simultaneously over 15 months. So their paths were able to coincide. This word coincide sort of rung a bell to me when it came to the idea of business mergers. One of the most exciting mergers that I've seen in the last 15 years was that of Walt Disney Company and Pixar. You had the company of Mickey Mouse, Cinderella, and Lion King joining forces with the geniuses behind Toy Story and Finding Nemo. From that point forward, they became the same company. The merger took place in early May 2006, and on that day, their paths began to coincide. And now I'm going to bring it home to a personal level. I left my corporate career in 2016 to join my wife, Sykelia, full-time in growing our family business, UI Global Brands. And with UI Global Brands, I had to leave a career where I had been promoted to vice president of commercial banking. I had a territory that spanned Texas, Alabama, and Georgia on the corporate side, and multiple states on the gaming side. And my kids were 2, 4, and 6 years old, and I realized I'm about to be traveling every week or every other week. And all of a sudden, our family business was starting to grow. We had launched in Walmart and JCPenney. We were selling products to some of the largest retailers in the country on a small level. And it was time for us to join forces. From that moment, that January 6, 2016 forward, my wife and I, our paths began to coincide. He didn't see multiple lines. He saw one line, one vision and one goal. That's our grow. That's part of our grow story. And at this podcast, we talk about go, give, and grow. In terms of giving, one of the entities that's given back a lot to me is the Boys and Girls Clubs. I was a member of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Toledo, my hometown, and that's the place where I learned to swim, I learned to shoot pool, use computers there for the first time, went to Camp Big Silver with the Boys and Girls Clubs of Toledo, and had a lot of fond memories there with my 3 brothers. We actually learned how to canoe and how to fish and shoot bow and arrow at Camp Big Silver, which was run by the Boys and Girls Clubs of Toledo. So in line with our message about coincide. So Earlier this year, March 2021, the Boys and Girls Clubs of Baton Rouge and New Orleans announced a merger. And I saw this news, and it said that the CEO of the new organization said that combining our forces will enable us to scale our best practices, streamline operations to be more cost efficient, all to serve and support more kids. And I was like, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So their paths coincide. And as a result, they have all of these benefits, but they keep the ultimate purpose in mind, which is to serve and support more kids in a better way. And as we go through life, as we give in our life, and as we grow through life, it's very important that we keep that ultimate purpose in mind, because it doesn't really make sense to do stuff just to do it with no end in mind. There has to sort of be a purpose or a reason. And sometimes we may do stuff and we don't realize what it is until later, and that's okay too. But as ideas coincide, as these paths coincide, whether it's 9 fantasy characters in Middle-earth, Frodo and his buddies with the ring, Gandalf going up against all those bad wizards, or it's Walt Disney and Pixar with Lion King, and it might be nice for them to do a crossover between Lion King and Wakanda one day, but I don't imagine that would ever happen. Or whether it's Boys and Girls Clubs in different cities joining forces, or a husband leaving his corporate career, doing very well to join forces with his wife. When those things coincide, magical things happen. And in our next episode, we're going to talk about something that I'm actually planning to do multiple episodes on throughout the course of this podcast, and that's on the topic of coincidence. Coincidence is something that, depending on your personal beliefs, you frame either as, crazy or just happenstance, or if you're more on the philosophical side, you may have different ideas on how different things happen, and with no related features, or if you're a mathematician, you may say it's all just probabilities. Either way, we're going to talk about it, and I'm excited about it. We're going to cover a couple different TV shows and movies that came out recently that I think really demonstrate what coincidence looks like, and also some real life examples. I'm Von Tobateri. I'm your host of the Go Give Grow podcast. Let me know what you think. Send me in your questions on Instagram at Von Toba, or Twitter. Send me a tweet at Von Toba, VONTOBA. And you have a blessed day. Remember, everywhere you go, find a way to give, and take some time to grow personally, and to grow your community and grow those within your sphere of influence. Have a good day. Be blessed.